If you've ever felt anxious, like your chest is tight, like you can't breathe, that your stomach is gurgling, your thoughts are spiraling, I get it. I used to be you. I was the girl Googling everything. Why am I anxious? How do you become anxious? How to overcome being anxious? Why am I anxious in relationships? I can't be anxious anymore. I just had enough. I've been there. There was times of my life where I actually thought I was losing my mind. But now, 7 years later, I see anxiety so different. And I want to share with you what I've learned through both science and spirituality. Because maybe if I'd heard this back then, it would have saved me so much fear and confusion. So today, I'm sharing what anxiety really is from an energetic, emotional, and medical point of view to help those logical thinkers understand what's really going on inside of you. And as we go along, I'm going to be sharing 3 tools that are going to help you calm your system straight away. So let's start with what I call the GP version, the medical version. If you go to a doctor, anxiety is often described or labeled as a chemical imbalance or a response to the fight or flight system. And that's true. Anxiety activates your amygdala, the part of your brain that signals danger, flooding your body with cortisol and adrenaline. And that is why your heart races and your breathing becomes shallow. It's like you feel something bad is about to happen. And from a medical standpoint, it's your body trying to protect you. It's not your enemy. It's your nervous system saying, I think we're in danger even if we're not. And so when I come to understand what actually was going on scientifically in my body, it took away so much shame because reality is this is really happening. But I still got curious because back then it was like, oh, you'll get used to it, you'll live with it, or you'll take medication. And I just somehow did not want to take any medication or learn to live with it. I was crying myself to sleep. I couldn't go to work. I was in work holding a tray of drinks when I was a waitress, and I had this rush of anxiety coming with me, and I just had to put them down and lie down. I couldn't even serve a coffee in work. And my body was so heightened in those moments. I was like, there's no way I'm living with this for the rest of my life, because so much was going on internally inside of my body. And back then, 7 years ago, all I knew was about the medical system. So because so much was going on with me, I had gone to the doctors, and I was in a foreign country, by the way. I didn't have my family around. I'd gone to the doctors thinking that this crazy thing was going on with me and there was something wrong with me. I ended up in a brain scan because of anxiety and panic attacks, but I just didn't know what the anxiety was back then. People were wanting to give me Valium, and I wasn't really someone who took little things that I just didn't know really what they were back then. Now I understand Valium is a great relaxer if you need it, but there was natural ways to do that, and I went on the journey to find that out. That moment that I remember coming out of the brain scan, and obviously a couple of days later I got the results, everything was fine. I had so much shame and embarrassment that something was wrong with me, but I didn't actually know what it was. Like I was being in CrossFit competitions, having anxiety attacks. I was just in conversations with friends and I would numb out and switch off. I would have this racing urge for me to just let everything go and scream and shout and cry. And sometimes I did, but it wasn't always in a healthy environment. And so I carried on with the learnings and lessons that I had at the time to actually move through that. The best 2 things that I found at this phase in my life was breath work and meditation. I went to a breathwork workshop and I just did this 3-hour breathing experience. So it was like a guided experience, and this is what I teach you more of now inside the School of Sensuality. But we were focusing on, I guess, the discomfort that we're feeling in our body. So for example, if I felt the tightness in my chest, I was taught how to breathe into the tightness in my chest. If I felt my tummy was kind of getting a little bit agitated or feeling that discomfort, then I learned how to breathe into my tummy. And what this was doing with the breath work, it was actually moving the anxiety. And this now is going to lead me into the second part. And this second part is the emotional side of anxiety. So we've covered the GP medical version, which is often looking at the brain. And as you can see here, when I use breath work, I was breathing into my heart and to my tummy. So this is using our emotional body when it gives this a rest. I thought, I've got nothing to lose, let's go and explore. Obviously, because I'd had a brain scan and there was nothing wrong with my brain, I knew it had to be something different. And so anxiety is basically just unprocessed feelings, and the feelings we feel in our body, not the head. The unprocessed feelings could relate to fear, grief, guilt, or the constant need to control everything because deep down we don't feel safe. If you're going through life and your body doesn't feel safe, like if you feel like you're in a hypervigilant moment, if you're constantly switched on, if you're sleeping with one eye open, you're constantly locking the door, this is just a symptom of your body that something has happened in your life previously and activated the feelings of not feeling safe. And so generally when the anxiety comes up, that's what we're playing with. It's an inner feeling that sometimes we ignore from the brain, or we block out, or we don't understand, or we don't know how to communicate because we feel shame and embarrassment around that. But when you actually work with it and breathe with it like I've just shared, and now coming into the second one, you actually can move it just out of your body. And I did just say there was two things that I learned, so if you are listening, I only shared the breathwork one. The second one was the meditation. So I thought meditation was literally just sitting there like in a monk position with your eyes closed, and honestly I didn't know what to think about, I didn't know what to do. I was just like, this is such a waste of time, because I was doing it all wrong. I was trying to think my way through meditating, not feel. But as I'd come out of that medical doctor's GP way of just thinking your thoughts, it didn't help me, and obviously you're watching this video because it's not helping you either. And so when you're meditating, I first recommend doing this with a guided meditation. So you can find more of these on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, and also I do them guidedly specific inside the School of Sensuality. So I'll pop those links below in case you're one of those people like, Katie, do you know what? I'm just had enough of this. I really, really want to change. So the difference of meditating, you don't want to be thinking about your thoughts. You actually want to be feeling into your body. So when you calm this part of your brain down, you actually come into more stillness and calmness. And when your body feels calm and still, you'll be able to feel the anxiety. So like I said before, you can feel it in your chest, you can feel it in your stomach, you can feel it in your shoulders or even your ankles. But when you're thinking, it switches off the feelings. So if we're going into a thinking spiral up here, this is not happening, it's kind of switched off. And so when you're meditating, I get all my clients and the girls inside of the School of Sensuality to do something at the same time you're meditating, such as standing up, breathing, calming the mind, and just swaying your hips. Another one is going for a walk, anything that really involves movement, a movement type of meditation. For this specific healing with anxiety, when you're sitting just there like a monk trying to let it go, you're holding on to the discomfort and you're holding on to those feelings. But you know that movement makes you feel better. When you're dancing with your friends, when you're playing sports, even when you're having physical intimacy in the bedroom, how good does movement make you feel? So when you notice that anxiety is coming up, are you in a space where you can breathe and you can come back to your breath work, breathing in your heart, breathing into your tummy, or are you in an environment where you can go and do some exercise and movement? And so obviously if you're in work, you can't just take 2 hours out to just go for a walk or a marathon or let all your steam out, but you can do the little things. And that's why I suggested just standing up, moving your hips. You can be in the supermarket, you can be in the cinema, you can be in the shops, you can go to the bathroom on your break, just say, hey, I'm just not feeling too good, I need to go to the bathroom. Standing in the bathroom doing these hip circles. I used to do this when I was a kindergarten teacher because I felt so shameful and embarrassed that I was getting these anxious feelings and I thought no one else did. So I would just go to the toilet and just move my hips, and I started feeling so much better because I was like, oh, I'm just worried about this and I don't need to be worried about that. I'm stressed about that, but do I really need to be stressed? And it helped me relax and calm my body so much. So yes, it's a meditation, but it's a movement meditation. If you want to go deeper into this, you can come inside the School of Sensuality and I'll guide you through each one. So for example, if your anxiety is fear, or if your anxiety is grief, if your anxiety is heartbreak, I have different modules and different videos on each one, and they're so guided and specific for you, because my goal is that you come into the School of Sensuality maybe about, I always suggest 1 to 3 months. If you really commit yourself to these processes and to these exercises, by the end of the 3 months, you'll naturally have let go of your anxiety or naturally know how to handle it when those feelings come up, and it literally probably will take about 30 seconds, max a minute, for you to move through, rather than being with anxiety for 3 days to a week, because I know how uncomfortable that is, and I'm just here to help you along the way. It's like if you believe that you have to be perfect or you can't relax, everything will just fall apart and your body stays in alert mode. Obviously, this was happening when I was a professional CrossFit athlete. Like I said earlier, my body was just in this hypervigilant state, obviously because it's a big sport, because I was wanting to do the best, and I did do the best I could, but when I actually allowed myself to relax. So when I was trying to push myself, when I was trying to be perfect, when I was trying to be the best, I was like going against the current and just going into so much force. Of course, it was helping me, but what actually helped me was when I was meditating and doing some movement exercises before my training, before competitions, because this calmed my anxiety. This helped me relax so much. And then I could come into a space of like, oh, okay, I feel so much better now. The anxiety isn't there because I worked with it. Not like going into the doctors and him telling me everything was fine. It actually started leaving my body, and the results that I was feeling, I didn't even know who I was anymore because I felt so amazing. I think the trick within this is allowing your mind to believe that you don't just need medication and anxiety is just something that you have to live with. Anxiety is an energy. And if you trap that energy inside your body, of course, it's going to be here with all the paracetamol and everything that you take on top. But when you actually take back those layers, come to the root cause, feel the anxiety, breathe it through, move it through, you don't have to deal with it anymore. And I think this is such a big conception in the world of anxiety. I've been there, I've lived this journey for 7 years. Everything I teach you guys, I've tried it and tested. I would never teach something if I personally didn't believe that it's worked for me and the people around me, my relationships, my family, and the girls inside the School of Sensuality. So that really is getting up, maybe after this video, take me with you, stand up and go for a walk, move around, come inside the School of Sensuality where I do more hip movements because that's where we store a lot of emotion, and notice that you're on the path, and over time, it'll start getting better. You have to believe in yourself that this actually works. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck like this forever. And that now brings me into the third one, which is that energetic side. You know, this was kind of the missing piece for me. Anxiety previously was obviously in my mind, in the body, or something that felt stuck. And what I come to realize, it is that body holding on to so much energy that's just not being expressed. Like I have said over time, sitting in the chest or the gut. And so as I'm going along, the weird but wonderful thing that really helped me was talking to my body. And I know this is going to sound so weird because the first time someone told me to like, oh, you just need to talk to your body and listen to it, I was like, what, do I need to call it? I just didn't understand. But as I've taught you the first two, so we've got the breath work. This is actually connecting with your body and feeling where the anxiety is sitting in your body. The second bit, we had the movement. So you want to move it through. And then what you're doing when you're breathing, you're calming the mind, you're moving, you're activating it, then you can talk to it. Because if that anxiety stays stuck in your body, obviously it's not as the brain, as the GP told me, when it's in your body, you can communicate with it. And how I do this is when I'm in the School of Sensuality with my clients, I get you just to calm down, close your eyes, breathe, and just feel relaxed as much as you can in that moment. And then feeling wherever the anxiety is, talking to it, communicating it, saying, oh, okay, I notice my anxiety is there. It feels like a heavy rock. It feels like a big dumper truck. It feels like a gold light. What does it feel like? Name it. Is it moving? Is it colorful? Has it got a shape? Has it got a memory? And when you start communicating with it, you'll be like, it feels like this heavy rock that's stuck in my chest and it's staying there because it's keeping me safe because I'm scared to open my heart to love again. That's an example of what can happen when you talk to yourself. So really, you're scared of opening to love again, and so you're closing your heart down. This then leads to anxious feelings and for us not to want to get into a relationship. So when you talk to that anxiety, when you make friends with it, it actually calms you. You move it, you breathe it, and you let go. So then you can have that relationship that you're desiring, because you can still repeat your patterns and the same things that makes you feel anxious, instead of being like, oh, do you know what? I deserve to have this. I'm going to listen and talk to my body, allow myself to feel free, fun, and fabulous, moving this anxiety and dusting it off into what is possible. You can see as we've gone along in this video, anxiety lives in your body, not your mind. So if you are someone who's constantly up here thinking in your thoughts, all you have to do is stop your thoughts through the exercises that I've just shared and feel. Because the moment you do this and commit yourself to daily exercises, or maybe you need to start with 3 a week, you're going to see differences. But if you are someone who is constantly complaining about the anxiety, constantly in your thoughts, it's just going to get worse. Like, you can sit here and go down the spiral and the rabbit hole of all the other anxiety videos, Or you can start going breathing, moving, and talking to your body. Remember, the first time that you do this, it's probably going to feel really weird and uncomfortable, but it's like anything. If you go to a yoga class, how long does it take you to come into a full back bend? If you go to the gym, how long does it take you to lift 100 kilos in the gym? If you become a chef, how long does it take you to cook the nice meal that you want to present to everyone? Things take time. Anxiety is a skill that you just have to learn to work with. What was your biggest takeaway? I know probably all of your friends and family have got the anxiety too, so send this video over to them and get on it together, because you don't realize how many other people around you are navigating anxiety, and why not move through it together? Because it makes us happy at the end of the day. Have a beautiful day, and I really, really wish the best for you and your anxiety.